Ooh, that's hot. I guess that's appropriate. Happy Devil's Brew morning coffee. um, this is something I'm going to try to do every morning. This is actually a late one. It should have happened a lot earlier. I had a late start to my day. These are going to be short little check-ins. Look at the news, look at Twitter, open up the panel for a little bit. They may not be very long, half an hour or so, and I will see how long a panel goes after that. And so this is to provide like one little anchor point for the stream. And then today at 3 p.m. Central, I'm going to be doing the midday one where I'll present the topic. Today it's on the hero's journey, the internalization of it. And then this evening I will open up a third space stream, a hangout, open panel. And so that's the structure I'm going to try to keep each day. So get your coffee, get your whatever you drink, and just come hang out and with the panel verse and enjoy, unwind, or get energized and inspired. I did have a tweet. Let me find it. I guess I should check the news too. I haven't looked at it at all today. What happened? Oh, the European elections. A lot of the right wing parties won, which is not unforeseen to me. But I guess that's what politics is. When one side goes too far in one direction, the other side has to pull back in the other. Or at least our politics, modern. Um, oh, wow. Is that they have a map, but I don't understand the key to it. Anyway, y'all could probably look up all the election stuff in Europe. That seems to be all that's going on. The tweet I had was from Helen Pluckrose. She is the one, along with James Lindsay and Peter Boghossian, they did the grievance hoaxes thing back in, I don't know, when was it? Where they sent in fake articles for peer review and they got it accepted into like academic studies, grievance studies for 2018. I thought it was earlier than that. Wow, that was late. That was just before COVID. That's when I got involved. Well, anyway, she put out a tweet. She has this organization called Counterweight that helps. It's set up to help people that are dealing with what we've been talking about: cancel culture, DEI, in the workplace, in their schools, their personal lives. And so she gets to hear a lot of these stories. In fact, I volunteered for them for over a year. I was one of I used to help run their groups, so I got to hear a lot of these stories as well. So for people that think that this doesn't happen, like all of that DEI stuff I've been showing here in Washington State, and we looked at the federal and the mental health side, the Bureau of Department of Behavioral Health Equity, etc. And in Washington State, you saw that it had all of those racial trainings that you had to go to just to be a state employee. Um, I worry about it because it's not something imaginary to me. It's happened to me. I've heard story after story after story of it happening to other people. And again, talking about stories, but there seems to be fact. These seems to be the type of story that's built around fact. Um, and so her tweet is about a. Let me find it. Where is your tweet, Helen? Oh, okay. I I'll just read it. It's from a black guy and his experience with DEI training and implicit bias. I'm specifically bringing it up because of implicit bias. So here we go. He says, I've spent more than a decade with my current employer, an engineering firm where I work in middle management, and for most of the time, racial politics has been barely discussed. That's my normal experience of the workplace too, until very, very recently. Like as I was leaving it, this stuff was coming into it. In fact, I remember in my field, the disability, I don't know if it was the federal level or if it was the nonprofit level, but they had the this organization, this like at the national level organization of disability groups and associations, and our agency was part of it. And I forgot his name. The president of it was a white guy, and he made a comment one year. This was probably mid 2010s, I'm guessing. If I could think of his name, I would look it up. He made the comment in one of his speeches that the government focuses more on immigrants than on people with disabilities. And he wasn't saying anything about immigration. He was just making a point about the priorities and how like under prioritized disability services are relative to other issues. And it caused a huge controversy and an outcry, and he had to step down. And the fact that he was a white guy suddenly became significant in the story, and they had to replace him and vote. And the narrative was like, we don't want another white guy in that position. So I don't know if they were connecting his comment to the fact that he was white. To me, it had one had nothing to do with the other, and even the comment itself I could take in the context he was saying it. But I thought that was weird, and that was happening while I was in the field. And then I remember a staff meeting where our director was telling us about like bringing in new people and new employees and stuff, and that we didn't want just a bunch of old white guys sitting around. And when she made that comment, I said in the meeting, I said, excuse me, I'm white and I have a penis. I said, is there a role for me here in this organization? Just hearing you say that, like if this is how black people feel or marginalized people, like when they hear microaggressions or comments and then they suddenly don't feel included. I had that experience from her saying that about, we don't want just a bunch of white guys sitting around making decisions or something. I had that feeling to the point where I had to wonder, me as a white guy, is this even the place for me to be if this is what's coming, like the trend now in this field? And of course she said, yes, I was, and all that stuff. And that was the first time in a workplace that stuff had come up. Like it was just never, and this was like just like maybe a year before COVID, 2019, 2018, maybe. So anyway, he goes on to say, but that changed when the Black Lives Matter movement last summer, and meaning 2020, the summer of George Floyd. Soon we were receiving regular emails from HR advising us to read books like White Fragility. That right there, but I don't want HR emailing me, telling me what social and political books to read, any book to read. If I need to read a book for work, my supervisor can come and recommend what book to read. I don't need HR telling me what to read at all. That's a boundary for me. You stay out of my reading life. But advising them to read books like White Fragility. This is an engineering firm, y'all. They didn't seem to spot the irony of a group of mostly white HR officials lecturing me, a black man, on how to combat racism. Yeah, that's another thing. It's that the condescension and like patronization of it. That as a Cajun, don't bring that around me. You were coming to the wrong person. Then one day in September, I was working from home when I received an email. Myself and other managers were expected to undergo mandatory unconscious bias training with an external diversity and inclusion consultancy. So now do you understand why I'm worried about these departments? Because this guy actually got sent to an unconscious bias training with this firm, this DEI firm. So remember, it's tied to DEI. A glance at the consultancy's website taught me its pledge was to embed equality, diversity, and inclusion into everything we do. That's DEI. Equality, diversity, and inclusion with the letters flip. Embed into everything we do. And that was on their website. It wasn't even like a hidden agenda. So I call this the conspiracy theory that's turning out to be real, but it's not even a conspiracy. I mean, this is all out in the open, blatantly. And the guy says it seemed total nonsense. At best, I thought the training would do nothing. Studies have found that changing a person's implicit biases, remember, they have techniques now, they believe, that can actually change your unconscious biases, and they're ready to implement it through the state, has virtually no effect on their real world behavior. I know we went like, that's some of the things we looked at against implicit bias, is that the studies show that even if people are aware, and even if you correct the biases, so let's say you can even like reduce them, it doesn't really change behavior. Like, so the effect that biases have on our behavior in general appears to be very slight, except it's like $1 million industry or something now, because people are stupid. And it could even make matters worse. I, for one, don't move around the world thinking constantly about other people's race. I don't either. And I'm not sure that should be our aim. Exactly. That's what my generation's argument is we had colorblind. We had moved on from race. We looked at the individual. The race became secondary if it was significant at all. And this reverses it, and it makes the race, the group characteristic, more important to be conscious of than even them as a person. It completely reverses from our generation. All right, there's a little bit more. Some white colleagues shared my concerns. Okay, listen to this. Some of his white colleagues, they shared his concerns, but they were afraid of being labeled racist if they spoke up. So they're like, yeah, man, we agree, but we can't say anything because then they'll call us racist. That's not a democracy. And that's not a liberal Enlightenment society. And so it was left to me. It was certainly stressful. I felt like I was standing against a cultural tide, and I worried colleagues would assume I was a bigot. He's black. They would assume this black guy is a bigot. Whether right or wrong, perhaps this was simply the direction society was moving in, I wondered. Did I want to be seen on the wrong side of history? There is no wrong side of history thing. That's part of that myth and story that they tell themselves. Nobody knows what history is going to do, and there's no objective side of it anyway. That's that meaning part, not that truth part. So anyway, he says, did I want to be on the wrong side of history? But I stuck to my guns and I objected. In October, I was invited to a meeting with the head of HR, to whom I voiced my concerns. I'm familiar with those meetings. I was told I didn't have to take part, but the training still went ahead for his colleagues. It was a relief, but it didn't feel much like HR had taken my opinions on board. They just gave me a free pass because I was being a nuisance. Now, our job performances are now assessed partly on how much allyship we demonstrate. A vague and nebulous concept, but at least I got out of the unconscious bias training for now. Did y'all hear that? How much allyship? Like, oh, let's see. Oh, okay, I can't look at comments yet. Frank, not gonna look. Just a second. His job performance partly relied on how much political allyship he demonstrated at work. This is not I'm not reading from Brave New World. I'm not reading from 1984. I'm reading from, I don't know what I'm reading from. It's from Helen Pluckrose, her book, but I'll put her Twitter. She's very credible and trustworthy, at least to me. I don't think she's making up this story because I used to volunteer for organization. I heard the same type of stories for over a year. Let me get her Twitter. Okay. I, I would ask James Lindsay to come on and talk about this stuff, but um, I don't have like 5 or 6 hours to for him to get through it. Actually, I do, but it would be. I don't know if y'all know him or watch his videos, but he's like a megaspurg, and it would take. He's like, well, never mind. Yeah, but James, you can come on if you want. We could try to make this work. This is for neurodivergent people. Or Helen too. I would love to for Helen to come on and talk about this. So I brought that up because of implicit bias, and it's a real world example of this shit is like when I pull up these websites and say, "Look what's in our government." It's not. I don't think it's me being catastrophizing. All right, let's see what Frank has to say. Here I am thinking of you when I'm engrossed in Stargate universe or something, and to give a like. Yes, I am grateful. We do need our likes. Oh, I forgot about the hang on, the Kofi link. I have my banner now. um I feel like a whore doing this, but I don't mind being a whore right now. I feel like that's my little, or like at a strip club where you tip. I'm pole dancing, and that's my little tip jar. Or like those little the little orphan kids shaking the cup. So here's my little cup. Leave a tip, stick $1 in my drawers, or leave some coins in the cup. It's to keep the channel going. So far, we have StreamYard paid for the next 2 months, at least. So it is where it is helping, and so thank you. We appreciate it. And what would really help is getting those subscribers up. In fact, Miss Cynthia, if you are out there, let me send you the link. Our lovely community member, Cynthia, was going to come by and discuss some kind of the ins and outs of YouTube and algorithms and how that works, and some ideas for helping people to grow their streams. Let's see, do I have Cynthia? Here she is. All right. We'll see if she shows up. If not, we can do it anytime. Like I said, the plan is to do morning coffee, kind of catch up on news, gossip. I'll try to have a little short topic each day, maybe a tweet or two or a short little video. And then oh, in fact, yeah, let me open up the panel. Hang on. And then open the panel for everybody to hang out and start their day. And then I'll be back for topics in a few hours. There we go. All right. Panel's open. Come on up. Let me put my banner. Meantime, I will sit here and see what's going on around the internet. Oh, I5, something's going on. Who is he restreaming? Let's see. Because he never gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on his panel. 5. He must be streaming easy. That little blonde, who is this? Hang on. A little bit of this. 1 second. Oh, yeah. Actually, more than 1 second. I need to do several things here. All right. Let's see what our little friend I-Fi and his crew are up to.
Shot like just like the mermaid was topless originally.
Wait,
that's how
is
these fuck.
What is this? Is this
Who
copyright?
owns Starbucks?
Thank- That was an ad. I hope I don't
What's
get
up,
caught.
What's up, These
Playing
dudes
a
are all
YouTube ad.
fucking
This
such
guy
fucking
right here, he
clowns.
shows up everywhere.
Yeah,
I've never
weirdo.
heard
I
of
know.
him.
I agree with you.
He sits there. I don't know who he is.
No, I just saw Hi-Fi on here, and Hi-Fi is. I don't know if you guys been around Hi-Fi. He doesn't get to the point. I'm sorry, but I'm here to rebuttal everything.
He gets to the point more than like that's.
Thanks for sharing,
You're going
Robot.
bro. For around here. He gets
All right. Terry,
faster than a lot of other
Yo, what's Greg?
what's going on, man?
Oh, this is the first time I heard
What's
him.
Very
Let him
interesting
talk.
post you find.
Oh, he has his beverage.
Yeah,
Hey.
man. Like I said, the whole base orca shit is a lot of bollocks because like he literally didn't
I didn't know
even
he was
tag
British,
Zorka
and I didn't know
all
he was
shit.
straight.
And the only shit, like he literally done like 3 or 4 tweets,
He has
including
gay
the
hair.
boys back at you.
Eyebrow,
So it's like,
gay lip.
let's not get the actual PDF file. Let's get the PDF file's friends.
Wait,
like
was he
where's
drinking
the logic
something
here?
that
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, never mind. It was.
And like again, there's
I thought he was
no
drinking coffee, and then it turned clear. but it was-
no definitive proof that that's what he is. There's a lot of bad behavior that could allude to that, but you know,
What are they talking about? What's the topic?
we'll just have to wait and see where the chips fall.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I linked you the tweet where it's like based out of 10 because you can see it's
Yeah.
like he kind of slowly gets like more and more pissed off at him. But even at that point, you're kind of saying like, hang on a second, why are you not going after Zerka? But he probably knows that Zerka's going to.
Oh, all right. Who are you in the back? Jordan Peterson is with us. Maybe. It might be a clone version, a body snatched version. You have to show yourself on camera and tell me who you are. Nice try. We've upped our security around here. There's somebody in the back. I got excited. I thought I had a panelist. But yeah, if that other audience, that ghost audience is out there watching, what is it, 1 point something K views or 3 point something K? Hi, welcome to y'all too. Grab a beverage and come have coffee with the devil. I'll keep it going for, I don't know, 15, 20 more minutes. This is really just to get the routine going of streaming a little bit in the morning. And after that, I'm going to go about my day and then come back for that topic at 3 p.m., which is the new midday time, not 2 p.m. anymore, 3 p.m. And I'll be shifting around the streams a lot the next few weeks while I experiment and try to find a good pattern and flow. Not that flow, my flow. My spiritual flow. Okay, nice try. I can see a finger waving around in the back. I need to see more than that. I need to see that you're not the person that you probably are. Yep, you are the person. Exactly what I thought you were. All right. Well, thank you for trying to stop by, and as usual. Oh yeah, Twitter. First, let's look on YouTube. Who else is streaming? We saw I-Fi. And Cynthia, if you're out there, come up. We were talking last night about, hey, Dirt. Say perfect. I couldn't imagine a better devil's coffee without actual Satan here to join us. Hail, my Lord. What was I saying? Oh yeah, because we were talking last night about there's some people in the community that know a lot about how YouTube works and how algorithms work and the little tips and tricks to maximize your your reach and ability to get subscribers or to potentially get subscribers. You still have to keep them. Like you still have to put out the content that draws them and then continue to keep them. So like little tips to do all of that. And we started throwing around ideas, and we said, oh, we should save this for the stream. This could be information that could help everybody. And so we're going to do that soon, as soon as we get us together on the stream. But I like the idea of having a little team that can kind of serve multiple channels or multiple communities and just help with like the little day-to-day production details, like helping keep a calendar, keep it structured, graphics, clips, promotion, social media, that type of stuff. And the team could help multiple channels at once. And And like the more we can get the channels tightened up and polished, I can't believe I'm the one advocating for this because it's usually done directed toward me. But I do see the value with it. Not so much how each individual channel comes across, but the more the logistics and like the graphics and the appearance, the branding, that I don't know what you call all of that, all the infrastructure. I am really good at turning the camera on and talking or having people on and having a conversation. That's the part of it. That's my attention tunnel, my monotropism. Everything that falls outside of that, suddenly the interest level just drops. The preparation, the setup, the making the graphics, the clips, the posting, the promoting, the marketing, the how do you get subscribed, all of that stuff is outside of my interest range and my tunnel, because I have that where I get locked in by what I'm interested in. But there are people that enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and they're better at it than me. They have an eye for it. It takes a certain type of brain, and they actually get excited and charged up, just like I get excited from turning the camera on and going live. They get excited from working with those kind of details. And if you find the right people like me and you match them up with the right people like them, I think you can make something happen. In fact, I want to read a quote from the director of the gifted community that I went to. I have a bunch of quotes by him, and this is one of them. This is like one of my main primary mentor. Like he was probably like the closest I had to a father figure of the type that I needed growing up. He says, creativity is wonderful, but it is often overvalued. Creative people have great ideas, but it is the people who have high convergent thinking and good organizational skills who get things done. People who are both creative divergent and organizational convergent are worth their weight in gold. So if we can find some of those people, and I can be one of them, believe it or not, if I need to, I'm not detail oriented, but I'm definitely action oriented. I can execute my ideas as much. In fact, just like thought and emotion are one thing to me, ideas and action are kind of one thing. The minute I have the idea, that's the beginning of the action. And it just has to flow out of me, and the action needs to get started. And this happens to me all the time, where people will, especially up here for some reason, this culture is like this. People will throw out ideas to kind of test them, I guess. I don't know. It's nonverbal. And I will think they're serious. So I will start getting excited, actually planning for that thing. And they'll have to tell me that. And of course, days later, no, it was just people talk. They like to brainstorm ideas, but they do it in a way that seems like they're really going to do the thing. So like, I don't know, like a party or a board game night or a camping or a hiking trip. Like I'm already packing my stuff. I'm getting the right camping gear. I'm shopping for camping food, and it was just an idea to them. So that's how fast. Like I'm very spontaneous. The minute, like that's how my friend group worked. The minute we had an idea, we were doing it. There was not a lot of time between thought and execution. And so I'm really good. That action gap is very small for me. But if we could find maybe a few of those people, and even if we just had one, like one, and but if we could find a few of us with one set and pair them up with some of us with the other set, we could maybe make that rare person that has both, and at least get something happening in these communities. So just thoughts like that. That's what we were going to discuss. So maybe for tomorrow's coffee we can do it. I still have about half a cup left. I have enjoyed hanging out, talking with all of you. It's kind of an imaginary audience for me, but I do imagine you in very positive ways. Y'all could be hate watching. I know some of you are. I forget about y'all, honestly, my ghost audience. But like this immediate audience, I do enjoy touching base and checking in and hanging out and interacting. Frank, what is on the movie thing today? We were trying to figure out, we finished up a season of Survivor. And we were trying to figure out where to go next. We have, of course, another Survivor as an option. There was some Big Brother that we kind of left midway through. The Dutch Mole they always do excellent seasons. And so those are my big three. Those are the big three for me of reality TV. And then we have some mystery series too we can maybe get going. Oh, there was something I wanted to watch. Hey, what was it? Yeah, Midlife Bro Logic was on last night. Y'all can catch that episode if y'all missed it. And we talked about some ideas because he and I are up about the same spot in the panel verse right now. We're trying to get our numbers to the same range, and we're trying different things. So we had some ideas, it being Pride Month, on some episodes we could do together related around different movies and our videos and different like Stonewall and some of the issues and topics that arose out of Stonewall that are still like part of the discourse of society today. So there was a group, a brief rough history of androgyny, at least in my generation. You have Andy Warhol and his factory in New York City in mid-60s. 1966 was when Lou Reed and Velvet Underground, he helped them produce their first album. And actually, that's a good story because he's listed as the producer. And in fact, he was the producer. And he said that his take on it is he didn't exactly produce. He kind of just kept them protected from the outer world and gave them a space to do their thing. And that always stuck with me my whole life, because that is a very undervalued and underacknowledged role. But a person who plays that role is the person that lets people like me and the stuff I'm trying to do take off. The Velvet Underground Andy Warhol model is very much inspiration for me. That's kind of the root of my culture, my cultural sensibilities. I don't think it goes back much further than Warhol and Lou Reed in particular, the Velvet Underground. But also, hang on, along those lines, another quote from that same director I just quoted earlier, the little gifted program I went to, he was in the same situation. Here's one of his quotes on that. He said, my job here isn't really to administer this thing. I'm here to protect the vision from a world that spends almost every day trying to kill it. And that also has stuck with me, because a lot of what I do in my life and my work in my groups and here on the stream are things that I picked up or learned from him, or had him. They were things that he did with us, and so we got the benefit of the environments he created, and we could kind of learn, internalize that, and carry that on. So that is what I'm trying to do here. I am trying to protect a certain space from the outside world who spends every day, it seems, trying to kill it. And that space is a male space for male emotions, even against other males. There's males. I've never seen more white knights in my life than in the red pill community. That is where if there's a woman in the red pill community and they start flapping and squawking for any reason whatsoever, those men will white knight around her in a second against other men. I've had it happen at least 3 times by now. I've lost my train. Andy Warhol. Oh yeah, Andy Warhol, androgyny, and protecting the vision and letting it grow, etc. Which, by the way, that's that one of those first phase comedy narratives we talked about, with its stories of birth and coming into being. Anyway, so you have Andy Warhol in the factory and his little crew of transgender misfits, creative misfits that came in and out, and outliers. And then after that, you had a group in San Francisco in the very late 60s, early 70s called the Coquettes, and they were a performance troupe, and they eventually became really big and started touring all over the place. And there's a documentary that tells their story, and that's kind of the next phase of that kind of androgyny making its way into the public consciousness. And then after that, you had, of course, David Bowie and Rocky Horror Picture Show. And so that's kind of the early, all of that was around way before today in those subcultures. And so I might do a screening of the Coquettes documentary if anybody's interested in the Discord, because it's kind of a missing phase. And Apple TV, if anybody has it, I don't have access to it, but they released a Velvet Underground documentary recently that was pretty decent, and it goes into some of the little factory scene as well. So just a bit of modern cultural history, I guess. And if you want the philosophy behind it, I'm kind of going into the philosophy behind all these other like historical movements, philosophy behind the modern cultural movements. There is no better YouTuber than Zarathustra's Serpent. He has an entire series on he calls it the pop age or the rock age, from like the 60s till now. And then like in the mid 90s, the digital or cyber age takes over. But the story of psychedelia. He tells the story of psychedelic rock music, or the story of modern culture through psychedelic rock music, and it's excellent. So here's the playlist, and you can follow his channel from there. In fact, he did a video on like transgender people who pass as women. They call them traps. And is it gay for straight men to be attracted to somebody that looks more or less like a girl but is actually not? And he did a whole video on that, and Barnabas and I might do a stream on it, and maybe we could get him to come on and join us. I would be so honored if Zarathustra's Serpent made an appearance. He's my favorite, absolute favorite YouTuber. He's an actual philosopher. He writes philosophy books. He works as a philosopher, I believe, in Israel. He's an Israeli, and he makes video essays. They're like philosophical video essays. So he's not just like a kid in his bedroom putting together stuff. Not that they don't make great content. This has a scholarly and academic heft behind it. All right. Is there anything else I need to spurg about before I wind this down? Andy Warhol was at WrestleMania. Mean Gene, who is that? Why does that sound familiar? We used to watch all that growing up. the wrestling. It was Junkyard Dog, Great Kabuki. He was the one that blew the green powder out of his mouth. And I always try to tell everybody how fake it was, because even as a kid, it was so obvious to me how it was fake. Like it was theater, it was acting, and they would get mad at me and try to beat me up, and then we'd end up wrestling in real life to try to prove that wrestling was not fake. What's the rebrand? Oh, I did a stream on it Saturday evening. I think it's called Outliers in Hell channel update or something. So it explains the new direction, and it's partly a rebrand because I'm a solo project again, although I still consider this a community effort and a collaboration with the community. So I'm open to like new ideas and new collaborations. If y'all have ideas for shows you want to do, I want to treat this like a TV channel, and I'm going to have different content at different times of the day. So today, like the next few weeks, I'm going to be experimenting with different things. So right now, I plan to do a morning coffee, and it's going to be whatever time I wake up and get going. Today is kind of late. And it's just going to be a chance to like check in with the news, the Twitter, some YouTube videos. I might have a short little topic, and then I'm going to come back at midday for the formal topics. Today I'm doing the hero's journey again, and then in the evening I'm going to open up kind of a free for all, third place, open panel type of environment. And so I'm going to try to keep those 3 points of contact going on throughout the day over the next few weeks, and I might shift the times around, but for now that's the new structure. And then the new brand is, I think I'm leaning it more toward I've been doing the neurodivergence, mental health. It's all mental health. That's always like the primary dominant value at the bottom of everything I do. That's my core value, and free speech, and men's mental health particularly. And free speech is a big part of that. Men being able to express emotions, thoughts, opinions, ideas, feelings, things going on with them, everything. There needs to be a space for that. And so it's still going to be that, but it's going to be more male-centered, more intellectually friendly. I want to have better conversations. I'm going to start curating the quality of guests that come on. We'll still have the evening panels where all the drama, and we can, let our drawers down and cut loose and have fun. The old guy interviewer, I don't think I know him. Oh, cool. Of like, how do you do those? I'm interested in how you do those filters. So like, in addition to Satan, you have David Bowie. Some would say they were the same person. And that Zarathustra's Serpent channel I just posted, David Bowie is one of his cultural heroes. He's Nietzsche and David Bowie. Those are like his core philosophical, cultural influences, inspirations, whatever. And so he has entire series. In fact, he has a whole channel where he takes each David Bowie song and analyzes it philosophically. And he has a whole channel where he takes all of Nietzsche's work and analyzes those philosophically. And then his main channel, he constantly ties Bowie and Nietzsche into the rest of his content. Yeah, David's been, because I grew up in the like late 70s, early 80s, and it was The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, people like that. And the goth, we knew them as goth back then, but I didn't realize at the time that was just an extension of the glam that David Bowie had started. And in fact, Susie and Robert Smith and those people themselves would even acknowledge their debt to David Bowie. That was a huge inspiration on all of them. That and Roxy Music, which David and Brian Eno teamed up anyway. Like that. Roxy Music to me is the pivotal art band. Like modern music, or at least modern art music, and that would include new wave, post-punk, etc. All of it draws on, most of it draws on Roxy Music. There really was no other band to model off of that was doing it as well as they were. And they had Brian Eno in the mix too. And David Bowie kind of drew from that and popularized it. And so Roxy David, that little Roxy David milieu was really the foundation of all of the modern music that I grew up with. And it's kind of what it was kind of like the move away from classic rock, but there had to be some alternative to classic rock within classic rock itself that they could draw on to do that, like the seeds of it. And I think Roxy and Eno more than developed those seeds. And of course, a lot of it was drawn from Germany and krautrock too. And we get Kraftwerk, Neu, Kahn, you get the synthesizers coming in through Germany more or less. And Eno kind of brought all that in, and then Bowie learned how to popularize it. So again, little cultural Spurg history lesson. Snap camera. I've heard of snap. In fact, I think I had snap camera at one time, but I couldn't get it to do anything. Well, I still want you. I would still love to do maybe like a little regular feature where Satan can come on and give like a daily update of all the hellish things going on in the world or something. Or like a little fun comedy section of some horrible catastrophic thing going on in the world through the influence of Satan. But it's really this minor thing that nobody would ever know or care about. Some silly little, I don't know. We could come up with something, but I don't know what your streaming goals are, but I would love to. I love helping people grow. I've always been like that, even like as a teacher, at the gifted school, everything. I love helping people with creative projects grow those projects, and I love helping my projects grow. And when I'm collaborating with other people who are doing the same thing, I guess it's kind of like in the 60s when all the bands were getting started and everybody was playing in each other's bands and helping their bands grow. And or like at the end of the 70s, early 80s in New York City, they had a little cinema scene that kind of went on with that, along with that musical culture of people making all these films and having loft parties where they'd have film festivals and stuff, and it was all grassroots and they were all starring in each other's films. That's kind of what this new streaming world feels like. And so I would love to help you grow your channel as well. And maybe we could come up with some Satan like bit that we collaborate on that we could use to propel our channels. I just like collaborate. I love being creative with other people that can like really whatever level. I'm up for anything. I will try almost anything. Because to me, I don't know if something works until I try it. So I have to try to see what happens and then go from there. If it bombs, it bombs. You can there's what's called like freedom to fail. Like you learn from your failures. So to normalize failing and having it be okay, it's not something to freak out about. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. So even the failures have value. I remember at that school I went to, we did a lot of theater. And the last year I was there, you know what? I even have some video of it. I wonder if I could show that one day. The director, the guy I talked about today, he had the idea, because normally we would do a drama like a Shakespeare, or one year we did Oscar Wilde, and we do a musical, either Gilbert and Sullivan or something like that, Bye Bye Birdie. And the last year I was there, he had the idea to have us, the kids, write and direct and produce our own musical. And we got to create it from the start. And I was so excited. I knew an opportunity when I heard it. I'm like, wow, guys, this is our chance to really go out with a bang and show what we could do. And he assigned it to the English teacher for some reason, not the drama or the musical teacher. And this guy really didn't have the chops or the kind of charisma to pull it off. And so it was kind of just us on our own. And there wasn't a lot of leadership. So I stepped up, and I was really into the movie. Clue had just come out. I was really into Agatha Christie and mysteries at the time. I said, why don't we do a musical murder mystery? And so we started throwing out ideas, writing the script, writing some songs. I actually wrote a song called You Kill Me, Baby. And there were these 3 black girls that were part of the project, and they dressed up as the Supremes, and they sang it doo-wop style. I collaborated with one of them on the music, and I'm so proud of this. And so they're like singing my song Supreme style that I wrote as part of this musical. And anyway, we cobbled all these little numbers together in this rough little plot line, and we rehearsed it and everything. And it bombed. Opening night, like, there was polite clapping because we had attempted to pull something off, but we asked our drama teacher, the real drama teacher. She wasn't involved in this project. She's my adopted mother. She's the lady I ended up living with to finish out high school after my hospitalization, etc. She was a very significant figure in my life, and her opinion meant, at that time, it meant everything to me. It could make or break me. And we asked her, like, what did you think of it? And her answer was, not much. And we knew, so like it didn't shatter me because we knew ourselves. But the point of this whole story is, despite all of that, I had so much fun, and I learned so much from the attempt to even write and pull off a musical like that. And so even your failures, yeah, look at this. What I would love to hear that story. Yeah, so don't be afraid to fail. That's the whole point. Go on stage, bomb. Like, every stand-up comedian will probably tell you how many times they have to go on stage and absolutely bomb before they like find their groove and start developing. You don't, especially with dynamic arts like performing, speaking, the creative in the moment arts, you don't really know music, performing, I guess. You don't really know who you are or what your artistic identity is or potential is until until you discover it from engaging in the art. At least that's my creative process. So yeah, you're gonna have to just get in there and try and do and fail and try and do and fail. If it really bombs, you could shut the stream down, turn it off. I guarantee it is not the most cringe thing that the Panelverse will have seen, and you can recover from it. They have the memory of a cockroach. They won't even be talking about it by the next day because some other drama will have taken its place. So this is the perfect environment. I call this the new punk. This is the perfect environment to come in and jump in and experiment and just see what you can create. Like, I've seen collaborations here that I would never predict. Brandon and Simon Hectic. Who was the other one the other day? I could be, well, Paula Enslaved at Talcott. Hank's gone on some panels and pulled off some collaborations that I'm like, wow. So yeah, go out, collaborate. I'm available. The stream's available. We can experiment, bring topics, bring ideas. This is like a creativity vortex right now. It's just waiting to be filled. Let's take advantage of it. And we have the fires of hell behind us to draw on as well. That's another reason for the rebrand. Going back to that, I want to emphasize this is a very adult space. You're playing with fire here. There's demons. I have one in me. If you awaken mine, be prepared for the consequences. I want to emphasize it's safe for males. It's safe for strong emotions. Stop trying to shut that shit down. It's safe for curiosity and hyper-intellectualism. We're going to get nerdy here. We're going to go deep. We're going to take things apart and analyze. Be critical. So it's to emphasize all of that. The little, like, cute little "you must be this tall to ride this ride" sign wasn't doing the trick. So now I need to bring out the full arsenal of hell. So yes, I am a Satanist. This is a satanic space. So the values might be a bit different. And I guess with that, Well, let's see. I could go 5 more minutes, make it an hour. This is a good practice, a good discipline. Maybe doing half an hour every morning. That's how I started the channel on my own. I was streaming I told myself I'm going to stream every day for an hour. It doesn't matter if anybody shows up, and believe me, for a long time they didn't. I'm going to talk about something for an hour just for the practice. And so that's what those first few streams. In fact, the first few streams I was making a jigsaw puzzle on stream as I talked. Then I started just making it in the background. All right, there we go. This one, well, let me look. It's been a long time, Dobes, because you were on it. You were the first one to break the monotony. It was like I was the Maytag man for a long time, just waiting in the basement for somebody to show up. Wow, I'm trying to find the first video. It's like infinite scroll. Okay, it doesn't give me dates. It just says 1 year ago. But Chris and I looked at it a few months ago, and I think somewhere around, I think I had started the stream maybe in March, and somewhere around April, I think you might have shown up, and Chris started to show up, and then it was Mental Health Month in May, and I did a topic a day for Mental Health Month, and that's where a lot of guests started to show up. And then from there, I think Chris and I started to collaborate, and it grew from there, and that's how we got to where we are today. So over a year, but then before that, in like 2021, during COVID, I had a podcast I started with some friends, and that one ran for at least a year, if not a year and a half, maybe 2. So now we're in the next phase. This is what, phase 3 now, 2.30 something. And so this is the new opportunity phase. And going back to our story structure, we're telling a story of we're hopefully moving up toward success. So this would be a comic story, and we'd be in the first phase of beginnings and a new thing coming into being. And of course, with the biblical pattern, that would be the infant birth, or maybe the beginning of Israel, when Israel became. Is it Jacob and he wrestles with the angel, and then he gets the name Israel from that point, etc. So anyway, that's just like the nerdy meta stuff to bring that in. Because one reason for presenting all of this, I had said, is I'm going to try to start bringing some of it in to the conversations here and apply it in a real world practical way. Because I really do think it has potential for helping us to refine a little bit the way we understand and approach our stories and how we collide and intersect with each other. And of course, I've said the quote before. In fact, I'll end on it, of Harold Bloom's position, who was Northrop Frye's kind of disciple, not formally, but creatively or intellectually or spiritually, however that works. Harold Bloom's position is that there's no way to ever align or get our story straight that misreading and misunderstanding and misinterpreting the stories are a part of that process, an unavoidable part of it. And I'll read the quote. This late in tradition, he says, we all come to one another smothered in and by meaning. There's that meaning again. Like, so his position is we're not suffering from lack of meaning, we're drowning in it. Meaning is everywhere. It's not the search for meaning. It's how to make sense of the meaning that we're already smothered in. He says we die daily facing one another of our endlessly mutual interpretations and self-interpretations. We see that on these streams all the time. We deceive ourselves or are deceived into thinking that if only we could be interpreted rightly or interpret others rightly, then all would be well. But by now, after Nietzsche, Marx, Freud, and all their followers and revisionists, surely we secretly all of us know better. We know that we must be misinterpreted in order to bear living, just as we know that we must misinterpret others if they are to stay alive in more than the merely minimal sense. The necessity of misreading one another is the other daily necessity that accompanies sleep and food, or that is as pervasive as light and air. And so there is that. And again, I see that tension between truth and meaning. We misinterpret because that's where we find our meaning. Meaning comes not out of seeing truth as it is. It comes from seeing truth as we desire it to be, because our desire is a clue to our meaning or how we find meaning. And I guess I'll end on that because I'm at an hour. I don't want to get too nerdy and spurgy because I want to save that for the topics coming up in about 3 hours. So I'm going to go get myself ready for the day, and I'll be back at 3 p.m. Central for the internalization of the hero's journey. I will see you then, and have a good day. There. Is the music playing? Oh well, I hope it is.